What do you think of a car multiple laps down essentially changing the outcome of this race?
Would it have made a difference if the car was one lap down or 163? I think that's a question that not enough people are asking in this particular regard. But to address the question itself, I don't really see a problem with someone being out there at that big of a deficit. I understand that logging these kind of laps and continuing to tinker with the car after it's suffered such immense damage is only going to be helpful to them when they, enter a scenario in the postseason where they have to fix their car and get it right before they can go back out on track. So I don't fault the 5 team for that, and I can't fault Kyle Larson for that, for being out there. What I can fault him for is, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's just like, it's almost like he is so used to being up at the front that when something like that happens in front of him, his immediate reaction is to just self-preservate, which is fine. But at the same time, a little bit self-awareness would have been a bit helpful for him in that instance. You're 163 laps off the pace, which is over half of the race distance. Your car has suffered immense damage to this point. Why are you worried about getting more damage? So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it. Don't really understand the decision to throw yourself in front of another car and slam on the brakes on the exit of a corner late in a race when you've already suffered pretty significant damage throughout the race. And I felt it was not a befitting move of a champion to bring out that final caution the way that he did. But at the same time, you can't really question the guy's resume. He's obviously won 30 plus cup races, has a championship, and is one of the better drivers in the world. But that was just a puzzling sequence of events for Larson, and it seemed beneath him for all that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's tough because it's a double-edged sword. It really is, because everyone begged for NASCAR to allow these drivers to get back just to get either a point or so on and so forth. And I can't say they did anything wrong in that sense, because why, when you want to go collect data for the next race, what if somebody else spins out and all of a sudden you can get another point? Obviously, Larson lost the championship by 1 point last year, the regular season championship. And that obviously had to do with him not starting the Coke 600, because then they would have tied. He would have gotten a tiebreaker, so on and so forth. But then at the same time, you have to look at it like, why is Kyle Larson? It seems like what Tanner was saying is, when Kyle Larson isn't up front, he's just like a completely different driver. I don't know if it's self-awareness, but it's like he really is a checkers or wreckers kind of driver. And he is one of the best in the world. He really is. And it goes to show he can win almost everywhere except for a super speedway, but I digress. It's weird that when he is not up front, stuff like this seems to happen. I think he pushes the car harder than anyone, and that's why you see him wreck and DNF a lot more than anyone. But he backs it up by winning when he's not wrecking, pretty much. But yeah, for him to kind of be 163 laps down, I think, at the time or something, it was over 160 laps down. And I know that because Fox Sports kept showing on the bottom left ticker, race update, Kyle Larson in the Terry Labonte number 5, minus 100 something laps. I was like, that was a little interesting. I posted about that. And then, I mean, he came back out on track and then obviously slams on the brakes because Reddick kept hitting the wall, and then ultimately gets collected, same exact spot, and then ends his day 37th, I believe he was. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, it sucks that ultimately he changed the outcome of the race, because this was Ryan Blaney's race to win, even though William Byron dominated. Ryan Blaney put on a very impressive show getting through the field. Looked like his father back in 06, like the scheme. I believe it was 06. I was only 4 or 5, so bear with me on that one. But yeah, so I agree a lot. Like, listen back too, if you're watching this after the live, listen to back what Tanner had to say. I think he made great points there too. And I want to hear what Joe has to say, because I think he agrees with us on this one.
Overall, I feel I get it that fans want to see the cars, their drivers, especially their favorite drivers, come back race. try to pick up 1, 2, 3 points, or in the case of Kyle Larson, just some track time, get that data, because let's be honest, we're coming here for the Southern 500. Kyle Larson gets in a crash, the data he may have learned today could help him eliminate somebody in the playoffs in the Southern 500. So I get all that. I just feel, though, there's now this issue, and it's just really being highlighted, thankfully, for just the first time. Because if this was under the Winston Cup era, if this was under the era of no overtimes, race would have been either red flag with a 2-lap shootout or and under caution. Wasn't that going to be that big of a drastic change now? Instead here, well, more laps, overtime now. It's been a while since we've had overtime, and that's where I feel like you were not going to lose positions to anybody. JJ Yeley was way behind off the track. You can't get there. Josh Berry, yeah, he had crashed out. You're not going to get around him with 4 laps to go. You could be collecting data, but I mean, can you imagine if a car running multiple laps down has tape or some parts fly off and we get overtime and changes up the race complex? I think that's the big concern I have. And I also think maybe NASCAR should look into something where last 25 laps, if you're so many laps down, pull into garage, you're not going to get a position. Maybe just leave cars 1, 2, 3 laps out that could still pick up a place here and there. But I just feel like this could open a new set of problems, and this might be the first time we've seen such a thing.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from, Joe, that if you don't have any spots to really make up and spots aren't going to become available, I think it makes common sense to put that car back behind the wall at that point, because again, what purpose do you have out there at a certain point? So yeah, I don't think that's too out of the realm.
And yeah, if I can touch on that too, I think that's an interesting solution. At the same time, too, it's tough because say what happens is, I know, who was it, Noah Gragson a few weeks ago got the lucky dog like 6 times and got back on the lead lap. Was that Gragson? Somebody's got to, if you know.
Are you talking about McDowell at Atlanta when he had the power steering issue?
Yes, my apologies. Yes, it was Michael McDowell. But yeah, it's like NASCAR, you know how they wreck a lot, mainly in the Xfinity series, but that's a whole Monday talking point at this time. But you never know what could happen. And that's the tough thing is, with NASCAR's luck, they would do exactly what Joe just said and create a rule where you're a certain amount of laps down, you should park it. And then there would be he'd be the only car a lap down, and there would be 6 NASCAR overtimes. I know Ben Schneider would absolutely love that. And I know, and then all of a sudden that would happen. And then it's like, well, this guy could have been back on the lead lap. So it's one of those things. I know I keep saying double-edged sword, but I don't think there's a better way to describe the rule, the cause and effect of what would happen, because in NASCAR, how funny this sport is, something like that would happen. They'd make a rule and they would find the one time they'd have to utilize the rule very effectively, it would be something like that. So that's how I got to add to that. But I know somebody commented, I don't know, Joe, if you showed Adam or someone showed Adam's comment or yes. So William Byron too, just touch on that. Yeah. I mean, that's the most true statement on the show so far, is he was dominant, but just didn't get the win. And that's just how it went with this, unfortunately. So I do like the rule change idea. I wonder what they could do if they experiment that in ARCA or something, because ARCA, especially on a super speedway, you put that rule on ARCA, there'd be no cars left on the track, not even the leader. But okay, I'll stop joking around.
That's why I think NASCAR doesn't want to go into this realm, because like you said, Matt, I mean, I know Kyle Larson was 100 plus. There's no way we would get 100 plus overtimes.
Don't be sure.
But if you were 27 laps down, you're pulled off when there's 10 laps to go or 25 laps to go, and then the car ahead of you spins, crashes, and well, if we had been in the overtime, we still could have picked up that position 2 or 3 overtimes. I totally see that couple comments in the chat room. Denver, thank you for joining us. Kyle Larson, one of the greatest of all time, top 10 in the world. Luckily to have 2 elite drivers with SVG the other. And then Ben talk about this topic as well. I understand the idea, but there is a pride in finishing the race under power. Clint Barnes 33 in the 2009 Aaron 49. And yes, Matthew, technically unlimited amount of laps left. Spots could be available in quadruple overtime. So that's why I think probably NASCAR doesn't want to do such a rule. Hopefully we don't have situations like this occurring more frequently now that we have this new damage policy vehicle and the unlimited overtimes.